Hi there, my name is Courtney. I'm a writer. I do a lot of things that are fun in my home. I play music sometimes. I bake a lot of bread. I'm a teacher and I'm a student. I guess those are just some of the ways you could know me, but there's always more to us than the labels. I just wanted to take a moment to share something that is on my heart this morning, in hopes that you get the opportunity to look within and find that place of deep inner, just true presence that exists beyond the realm of that which we would find seeking outside of ourselves. So kind of in line with loving to bake bread and doing fun things around the home, what I've realized lately in my life, so I grew up in the church and in the Christian lineage, and it was such a beautiful experience for me. You know, I'm in my late 20s now. I'm 29, and I have taken a lot of my 20s to question and try to understand in a more honest way that isn't just what others wanted to tell me. So just for a little bit of background and where I come from. Growing up in that realm of life and seeing and witnessing life was a gift in that I really developed a relationship to the ethereal realm. So an example of that would be going into a worship setting. And if you're not familiar with it, it's often set up in a way where you have the band on stage and they're singing worship songs to Jesus, and then you have the people, the body on the ground worshiping, worship, but worship is also not limited to that. In the church, that's how it looked. The beauty of that experience for me was, it was almost like in a split second, I could go from being in this external world that commonly just was confusing for me. And even to this day, I'm still wow, to witness what is around us compared to what we could access through the ethereal realm with God. And so I would have these heavenly encounters, and as soon as the music would start, it was I really was able to completely let go of what people thought of me. All of the insecurities and inner judgments that commonly ran my life would just go silent. And there's multiple things I attribute to that. One of them being what it means to be in true, utter devotion to something greater than our small selves, so much that we become that greater self and the embodiment of God. We don't really have time to think about what other people are thinking. And it's also just a very liberating experience if you live your life commonly worried about appearance and right and wrong and judgment, that you're going to need an outlet to, it could be looked as escape, or to just go within. And so throughout my life, I would commonly go back to finding where can I gain access to these worship settings? Where can I gain access to these worship settings? And it would always be me coming back to church and in the temple and where there's music, and I can just be in the body and shut everything else off and let me hear you, God. Let me hear you. So that leads me to what I wanted to share today and what's been on my heart, which is, what if we didn't have to go into a building with a band on a stage and a body in the crowd to access this ethereal realm? What if we didn't have to descend down into this place where we forgot that our outer world existed? And while that's all so beautiful, and I still have a huge connection and relationship to that through meditation and playing music and worship in my room, and I don't really go to the church building anymore. You know, I've learned, and this is what I'm kind of getting to, is how to become the life of a church, like what it really meant to and means to be the body of God in our day-to-day. And so the question I'm been posing myself, and that I really want to pose to other women and other men, is what might it mean to start experiencing the ethereal and the mundane life that is here and now? Like, you can do it in this moment, right in this present moment. Like wherever you're sitting, the simplicity of like feeling the existence of being here and now. And it feels kind of silly that like rises up such a deep, but it's not such a deep level of, for me, it feels like wow, like thanks and love for life that we can return to in any moment of any day, of any situation, no matter where we are, no matter who we're with. And the reason I'm finding this to be so important is I was always the person who would like have this laundry list of morning routines, and you know, I still have one. I like I said, I meditate, and I have, you know, a way of which I set up my day to be connected to that place. But what does it matter if we're not carrying that out through our day? And even in the context of church, what it really taught me is I love, and like I actually really miss going into the church and worshiping and being in that place of it's a place of surrender. And I think part of the reason why I haven't been practicing it there is because I know the importance of practicing it in my home, in life that I experience. And so I know that for everyone, this externally will look a bit differently. You know, like for me, it commonly turns out to be what I do in this like external factor of this house that becomes a home through the way I experience it. Baking bread and just baking and cooking in general, playing with the dogs, playing music. Oh my gosh, it could be anything. I could just be sitting here and talking to the screen and whoever listens. It could be painting. It can be talking on the phone to a friend, talking in person to a friend. It could be drinking a cup of coffee. It can be just sitting and looking at the leaves on the trees. It could be writing a book. It could be anything. What it really stems out of, though, is this intentional place of knowing that it is our divine right and blessing to take that which is radically profound and transformational in the ethereal and be it. And I actually do feel a more vital importance to this with women. I read something recently that was really beautiful about like, oh gosh, and I'm gonna forget the name, and I'll have to put it in the caption so that I can credit, but like God comes to meet the woman in her day-to-day. And it's so true that whatever way you practice life, whether it's through business or through motherhood, through being a wife or a girlfriend or daughter, going and running errands, like there are so many consistent instances that we are able to bless ourselves by witnessing God. And in that connection to really coming back to the place of home, the more we do it, the more it becomes just an infinite way of being, the less we feel like we need to escape that's all around us. And again, I'm not saying that practicing meditation or going to church, I'm not saying any of those things are escape. I mean, I think truly any practice in life can become escape. But what if we became a being of this love that is constantly being poured into us, and by becoming it, we then poured it back into life, and we were just this constant flow of of God, of the divine, of what it means to be in devotion as women and as men, in devotion to that which is greater than ourselves, such that we become such like, oh my goodness, our shoulders pulled back and our head held high, because we're in that just divine instance of knowing there's no greater place to be than here, in that connection, in letting it flow through us, in letting ourselves pour it back out, just by like living in the abundance of it, that it happens naturally, because we don't have to perform to prove that we've received it, and we don't have to showcase something to make ourselves look better because we received it. It's just the natural fluidity that is God. God is that fluidity. God is that giving and receiving consistently, and it never stops. Like, the flow is always happening. You can look around and find it in nature. You don't have to go far. I can look outside my window and I can see the trees, and it's fall, and the leaves are falling, and I'm like, this is the fluidity of God, that these trees would build these, oh my gosh, I'm so mesmerized by the trees right now. That the leaves would, become so bright and beautiful and orange, and then they would start to fall. And that soon the trees will be what we may call like bare, you could call it what you want. But that process, to me, it really witnesses the vibrance and fluidity of God. And I just feel the weight and liveliness of becoming that. And I wanted to get on and share that today because it was on my heart. And I just pray that it would touch you in whatever way it's meant to, whatever it means to you, that you would learn how to become that communal essence everywhere you go. And when you forget, that you get to turn from that split second of a moment that is the miracle of life to remember. And it doesn't take doing anything. It doesn't take doing more. It doesn't take becoming something that we're not. It doesn't take proving. It just simply takes silencing the need to make what is now different than what it is, and being right here, and we'll find that love again, and we'll become that fluidity again. So thank you for being here and for listening, and I hope that this touched you in whatever way it was supposed to, and I'm sending you love.